Hey guys, so I'm filming this day before I had surgery. I've got this Rosie Redwood doll here. We're going to be dyeing her with some dye more. Recently, some photos were leaked of, I guess, like prototypes for Series 3 Shadow High, and the dolls had different skin tones. Everybody's wanted a red doll, so we got this Rit Dye More Synthetic in Racing Red. We're going to dye the whole doll red. I dyed her hair black originally. I couldn't really get to take a lot of colors. I kind of had like that ruby vibe going on, where if you guys have seen me try to dye ruby, it never goes well. So I don't even know if this will work. I've seen some people dye them. I know it doesn't work on the kneecaps. I'm not sure if it's gonna work on the like hip areas or the elbows. The torso I don't have a lot of hope for either. But the legs, I feel like it'll dye most of the leg. The torso is just one of those things where I've seen people try to dye it in the torso. Knees and elbows a lot of times don't take dye. So dye more is for synthetics. It's for plasticky kind of fabrics, acrylics, stuff like that. We're going to give it a shot. I'm just going to do it on a super high heat. I'm going to take her head and her hands off just because they're a rubbery plastic, so they take dye differently. I'm actually re-recording the voiceover for this because the volume was terrible the first time. So if you see me just randomly moving my hands wild, that's why. So yeah, I'm going to take her hands off. I'm going to take her head off and pop her eyes out because we don't want to dye those. The head and hands are rubbery, so they're going to dye a lot faster. The harder parts, like the upper legs, knee joints, stuff like that, it's questionable. All right, so first things first, we're going to boil our water. We're going to get it really, really hot. I think that like Rit Dye More in general requires a really hot water. I don't really measure my dye. I think I ended up putting in like half a bottle, if I remember correctly, because I was just like, you know what, the more the merrier. I don't really use this dye for anything else. I'm only using it for this, so might as well dump a bunch in. I don't know how long it's going to take or what we're looking at in terms of like if it's going to even work or not. Sorry, I got you just staring at this pot for like a minute now. All right, here we go. So I started dipping her in after I took her head and hands off. All right, so I should have gotten a bigger pot, but honestly, the only pots I really use are for her hair and clothes, so they're kind of small. I mean, it's doing something, but it's a question of whether or not the dye is even going to stick. All right, here's where it's rinsed. This is after just maybe a minute. You can see it's not a lot of even coverage. This was after 5 minutes. All right, so you guys can see there's a little splotch here on the chest, which I guess maybe I didn't rinse it off quick enough. Sorry guys, Sausage is purring and trying to rub on my phone. The knees didn't take it all. The hip joints didn't take it all. I thought about like maybe scuffing them with a fingernail file to see if that would help. Oh yeah, like the back of the knees, none of that took. Otherwise, she's just going to be in some knee-high boots. So I did get one of those really soft nail files and tried to buff it out like a little bit. And even after that, it didn't really do much. You can kind of see at the top of the knee. Yeah, see, here's the file I used. And then at the very top of the knee, if I can get it to focus, there's like a little chip area where it accidentally hit that. So honestly, if you're going to try to rough up the knees and stuff, yeah, see, it's like right in there. It's a little area where I chipped it. And it was like regular skin tone underneath. So I don't think the dye is in like crazy deep. But here are the heads and hands. Now, I didn't want to lose the hand, so I just had a string around the wrist. One of the things I learned about this that I didn't think about was when I was dyeing the hands, they took about 2 minutes to take dye. So far less than the whole body. I forgot to bend the wrist peg. So like I dyed them like this, and then instead of bending the wrist peg and dyeing them a little more, I had taken the string off, realized, now that I bend them, it's still white under there, or light pink, or whatever color she is. That's kind of problematic. So I went ahead and I put them back in the pot after that. But here you can kind of see me like doing the thing, keeping the dye off my thing. I actually moved the pot to the sink so that I could have her body laying right here so that I could pull the hands out and test them against the body so I didn't accidentally get them too dark or take them out when they weren't light enough. Originally, they kind of turned an orangish red. It actually took about a full 2 minutes to get them that kind of dark carmine red that I managed to get the body. But yeah, I just hung them on the string so I wouldn't lose them, because if I lost them in the pot of dye and it took me too long to find them and dig them back out, then they ran the risk of getting way too dark. So you can kind of see here, it's like a bright orangey red. So I just kind of just kept it going, dipped it for a little bit, pulled it out, did a cold rinse to see how everything sat. All right, now it's time for the head. At this point, I've already made sure that the hands match the body. I've got, pretty good boil going on here. I mean, you don't want it like bubbling over, but like you want it steaming hot. And of course, you always have to be careful with this because steam burns are a real thing, especially when you're kind of holding onto the head or to the hair and just lowering the head in. So we're about to do that. Here we go. And because I'd already dyed her hair black, it wasn't too big of a deal. One of the things I considered was, because her makeup is red, like, would I even be able to see it? Which I'll get into that kind of towards the end of the video. But this still took like another 2 minutes to get it matched in really well. Another thing I learned from doing this was how much of the red dye water gets in her neck and eye holes. And I don't think I showed it, but I had to run like a ton of water into her neck hole and then squeeze it all back out. And it took me quite a few times just to get all the red water out. Because if I had put her head on too soon, then all of that water would have continued to drain out on her clothes, on anything nearby. It could have made streaks down her chest. At this point, I already put her eyes back in. And one of the things with that was I had to do it while her head was still warm, and then put her head while it was still warm onto the body. It was crazy. But I got her all done. The white eyebrow hairs are a lot. She's got this little mark on her forehead. She came that way. I don't really know what it's from. It was like that in box, but no big deal. The 4 little white eyebrow hairs on each side is killing me. So you can see there's a little dark spot on her cheek and nose. I think I lowered her face, and on the bottom of her chin. I think I lowered her face too close to the bottom of the pan when I was dyeing her head. So something to watch out for is don't lower it all the way down. This, of course, was my first try dyeing their bodies. I always wanted a really red girl because I think they're just cute little devils. But the main reason I did this is because I think that we're past the chances of ever getting an Emerald McNabb doll, which actually makes me really sad. I don't personally prefer to dye white dolls with white features brown and try to make them black, but I don't really think we have another candidate because, I mean, maybe Oliver? I could probably do it with Oliver. But I mean, it would be easier with River because he already has the flocking and the proper haircut and the same face mold that they would probably have given Emerald if he had released when he did. So wanting to dye him brown, I thought, well, here's the perfect chance to experiment because I didn't love this Rosie's hair. Black felt really bland and common. So yeah, I dyed her. It worked out really well. As you can see, the torso, there were a couple of that one little splotch on her chest is the only thing I can really complain about, other than just kind of being more careful. Now, the little, like, slightly dark spot on her nose or on her chin, I'm going to be putting makeup on her and redoing her eyebrows, her lips, giving her some, shimmery highlighter and all of that. So I'm not too worried about it. I just won't be able to finish her makeup by the end of this video because I have to have surgery. It's carpal tunnel and it's on my dominant hand. So I'm going to have to wait until my hand is better to be able to do makeup and spray Mr. Super Clear and all that. But for now, like, I will say, like, the elbows took, the torso took, everything did really well. No complaints. I wonder, since the boys' bodies are made out of slightly different materials, how different they will take. But, like, it should all be the same plastic, I would imagine. Fingers crossed. So I hope that you guys liked her. I mean, I think she was pretty successful for a first try. I did learn some things that would work better, not work as much, things I wanted to try differently next time. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Bye.